What's going on, team? It's Caddy with Money Investing. I hope that you all are having an amazing day. So in this video, we're going to talk about Tesla, ticker symbol TSLA. We will briefly talk about what it's going to take for them to be included in the S&P 500. Then we'll jump over some of the recent quarters and how the company has been doing on a more fundamental level. And then we'll finish it off with some technical analysis on Tesla stock and where are some of those key support and resistance levels that we need to watch moving forward. As always, if you guys enjoy this video, make sure to drop a like. It really helps out with the channel. Also subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future market updates, videos related to investing and technical breakdown. Before we jump into the video, I want to clarify that I understand Tesla is more than just an electric vehicle company. They're more of a tech company, and it becomes really challenging for us to understand what the true intrinsic price or the true valuation is for this stock, because on one hand you have JP Morgan putting a price target of $295 on the stock, and on the other hand you have ARK Investment putting a price target of close to $7,000 on this company. And I also did a fundamental analysis on Tesla stock not too long ago, and I put a price target of close to about $1,000 on the stock, and since then it's not only hit that price target, but it has surpassed by quite some level. So now we're going to jump over what it's going to take for the inclusion for Tesla stock in the S&P 500. So there's close to about 3 or 4 metrics that Tesla needs to meet in order for them to go under review and be included in the S&P 500. The first one is having a market capitalization of over $8 billion. And if you were to scroll down on my TradingView platform, you can see that market capitalization is just over $280 billion. Tesla meets that criteria without a doubt. The next one is that the company needs to be listed in the United States, which Tesla is. The stock also needs to be listed in the US exchange, which Tesla also is listed on the NASDAQ exchange. And the last and the most important metric is going to be for the company to report consecutive profitable quarters. So if you were to look at it over here, you can see the income statement right now, and we're currently on the annual report. If you were to go over to the quarterly reports, you can see how Tesla, since the third quarter of 2019, has been reporting a net income. So going back as far as Q3 of 2019, they reported a net income of close to $143 million. Moving forward to the last quarter of 2019, they reported a net income of close to $105 million. And then this year, in the first quarter of 2020, they reported a net income of $16 million. Now, a lot has changed since the first quarter of 2020. We have seen the full effect of the global pandemic, and due to that, the Fremont, California location for Tesla was also shut down majority of that time. But that being said, that was also offset by the fact that their Shanghai's manufacturing division was also open, because China was also on a different kind of curve when it comes down to the global pandemic. So it'll be really interesting to see how Tesla did in the recent quarter and whether they're going to report a profitable quarter or not. Now, the word on the street is that there are 33 analysts on Wall Street that are expecting Tesla to report a GAAP-adjusted net loss of $1.10 compared to the first quarter of 2019, which was expected to be over $2 per share in net losses. They also expect the revenue to be just about $5 billion, down from over $6.4 billion in expectations from Q2 of 2019. And this right here is their quarterly report going back as far as the first quarter of 2019. And you'll notice how the gross margin for Tesla has been going up as well, going back as far as the first quarter of 2019 when they were at just about 20%, and the first quarter of 2020 they reported over 25% in gross profit margin. That being said, their revenue increased as well from the first quarter of 2019 when they reported over $4.5 billion in revenue to now in the first quarter of 2020 to almost $6 billion in revenue, which is what you guys can see right here at $5.99 billion in revenue. Another thing to note here is that their operating expense are going down when they incurred over $1 billion in operating expense in the first quarter of 2019 to now just over $900 million in the first quarter of 2020. So I've also mentioned that Tesla is turning the corner and how they're able to generate net income quarter over quarter. But the only thing we need to kind of focus on now is a profitable year, because in the company's history, there hasn't been a single year when Tesla has reported in net income. And that's also because of the fact that the company's cash burn rate has been incredibly high because they've had to invest a lot of money in these gigafactories, manufacturing, production, R&D, and selling and general and administrative expenses. So now it's time for Tesla to finally report profitable quarters, and if they're able to do that on July 22nd, which is what their earnings call is going to be next Wednesday, you guys can see right here, then we can potentially see Tesla go under review, and we're going to find out if they're going to be included in the S&P 500 or not. So a lot of the index funds and the ETFs that track the S&P 500 will buy into Tesla in order for them to incorporate that company in the fund. But that's something we need to worry about when Tesla is actually included in the S&P 500. So now we're going to go over some of the technical patterns and understand where those key support and resistance levels are going to be moving forward. So looking at Tesla's stock price, we understand that 2020 has been the best year for Tesla as a stock and also as a company because the stock price essentially gone up over 4% since its low in March, right? So you guys can see that back in March, it was trading at close to $358 per share, and since then it's gone up over 400%, hitting as high as $1,800 per share. Now, the MACD and the RSI on the weekly chart, you can see that it's very, very overextended and very overbought. The RSI trading close to about 82. Anything over 70 we are considered to be overbought and the stock can potentially pull back. And the MACD as well, you guys can see that it's very overextended and starting to peak out, signaling that there might be a minor pullback. Now this right here is what we are seeing, a drop. So if you were to go over to the daily chart, you can see that this right here on July 13th was a drop for Tesla of close to 3%. When the stock essentially closed just under $1,500. But if we were to go over to the 4-hour chart, you can see a much bigger drop of close to 15% during that time frame between 12 p.m. and going into the close. You can see how Tesla went from as high as $1,750 to then closing all the way up to $1,500, right? So that was a drop of close to $250 in just a matter of 4 hours. And Tesla stock has also been really volatile lately, so that's also something we need to consider from a risk perspective. Now moving forward, this right here was kind of like the resistance that was set back on July 6th going into July 7th. So you can see how the pattern essentially hit that level and then it started consolidating sideways, approached its 9 EMA. And in my opinion, this was kind of like the accumulation phase where people were kind of piling in on Tesla stock before this huge breakout happened, all the way hitting highs of 1800, right? So you can see how the stock price essentially broke out of that resistance and then pushed up close to about 25 to 26% in a matter of just 2 days. So since then, there's been a lot of profit taking and people essentially taking some exposure off the table, which is what this represents, this huge sell-off that happened on July 13th. And we're kind of like in that same phase of accumulation and going sideways. So you can see how the pattern has started to move sideways and there's consolidation in the pattern, and it's essentially trading in between this range right now. So the high point being around $1,600 and the low point being around $1,435. So that's kind of like the price range within which Tesla has been trading more recently. And you can see the low for today was close to about $1,457 and the high for today was $1,550. So you can see how the variance is $100. So there's definitely a lot of volatility when it comes to Tesla stock. Now moving forward, the next support that we need to watch, I would personally be watching $1,435 as the next support because like I've already mentioned, I do see the long-term value in Tesla stock and the fact that it's in so many different industries and it's so diversified as opposed to just being an EV company, even though it's one of the most valuable, if not the most valuable automakers in the world. It's also diversified with AI, autonomous driving, solar energy, renewable energy, utility, so on and so forth. So there's definitely a lot of potential with Tesla, but again, please make sure to do your own research and your own analysis when it comes to investing in the stock market. If Tesla were to break below $1,435, which is what we have recognized as the next support, then I can see the pattern essentially bouncing off of this level at 1300. Because if you were to move back as far as July 8th, you can see this is where the pattern essentially touched before breaking out of its resistance, right? So the next key support I'm watching is going to be around the 1435 level because that has previously acted as resistance and then more recently it has acted as support. If the pattern does break down at this level, then the next support I'm watching is going to be around here at around $1,300. But in the more near term, I still see the pattern essentially consolidating in between this range before essentially breaking out of this resistance at 1600 and hitting all-time highs close to $1,800, or revalidating the support at 1435 and then eventually breaking below this level. Again, nobody really knows where the price is going to go. All we can do is understand what the company is worth today and what it has the potential to be in the future, because that's what the stock price is discounting today. So it's essentially taking the future valuation and the future growth prospects of the company and trying to evaluate whether it's a good deal today or not. So that being said, that was my quick technical breakdown on the Tesla stock. One last thing I want to mention is that the RSI on the daily chart or the 4-hour chart is right around 53, so it's very neutral. So it's not too overbought, not too oversold. So you can see how it's starting to go sideways, and the MACD is also kind of selling off, indicating that there might be a minor pullback before making all-time highs and continue that uptrend. So one last piece of information I want to share is that when stocks do go up like 100, 200, 300% in a very short period of time, which is what we have seen more recently, it's not uncommon for the stocks to pull back in the short term just to get a little breather before hitting all-time highs again or making higher highs, right? So that's just how the stock market works in general, right? We can't continue to see an uptrending pattern without a pullback, without a minor pullback. It just doesn't happen, right? So as good of a stock Tesla is and the amount of potential that the company has, it's not uncommon for us to see a minor pullback from time to time. And in my opinion, I see those as more of a buying opportunity than panic selling, because I understand the long-term value in companies like Tesla. As always, if you guys did enjoy this video, please make sure to drop a like. It really helps out with the channel. Also subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future market updates and videos related to investing and technical breakdowns. As always, happy investing, and I will see you guys in the next video.